In total, there are more than 170 plus styles. You see, and of those 170, there are about 98 that can be done based on varying degrees of flexibility. Of the 98, there are 40 that should be tried in a lifetime. You're not tearing your clothes from a car, breaking tables on a kitchen table, or breaking more cups from a kitchen table, and ripping off. And that sexual intimacy grows with sexual competence. You can get better. Again, let me lay a few important foundations that could be helpful, that could be like a level playing ground in the way we think about sexual intimacy, because it's so different for different couples. Mm-hmm. Like, sexual intimacy is actually one of the signature essence of a marriage relationship. It is both default and design. What I mean is, there's a part of sexual intimacy that is just a function of the wiring of the two people that come together. Mm-hmm. And their own sexual DNA is thus formed based on their personality, based on their libido, based on their interest, based on their wiring, based on their sense of enjoyment. And they have something that is now forged and becomes original to them. Do you understand? In their coming together. And then there's a part of it that is designed because they are framing it through seasons. They're building it, they're investing in it, they are shaping it. Every decision, every investment, every effort, every style, everything they try is forging a design that is unique to that marriage relationship. So sexual intimacy, to me, is the other thing that comes to mind very close to it, is what a spiritual intimacy produces. Mm-hmm. Spiritual intimacy is also something that marks a marriage relationship and makes it a signature unit under God. And it's different. There can never be two marriages that have the same kind of DNA when it comes to their spirituality and their purpose and what God forges in that fellowship he has with them. And it's the same thing with sexual intimacy. So it's really unique. And the beautiful part of the design, or the beautiful thing with the design part, is that it can be built. Whether you're 1 year in, you're 10 years in, you can envision where you want to go next. Again, couples don't talk a lot. That's the truth. We talk about everything else but the most important things. So I would say that sexual intimacy, sexual enjoyment, sexual experiences ought to be discussed, and there should be a collective forging of a vision. Like, where do we want to go? What do we want to mark our experiences, and what are we going to do to make that happen? So that's a first foundation to lay. A second I would love to lay is that there is no prescription about the nature of frequency or intensity that a sexual relationship can have between a married couple. So I can tell you categorically that one of the seemingly noble but very distracting lies of the enemy through the mind control mechanism of media is the image of passion, of reckless passion that he paints of intimacy, that you could be having a great intimate relationship in your marriage, but because you're not tearing your clothes from a car, breaking tables on a kitchen table, or breaking more cups from a kitchen table, and ripping off, and you're thinking that you're missing something. You're not missing anything. So it's a lie from the pit of hell. The next time you see them, remember that they are actors. They are actors acting. You are living a real life. Do you see this? So you have to know that you will forge. There's no standard. It doesn't have to be 5 times a week. It doesn't have to be. However, there is a decent frequency that can also be a telltale sign of how you're doing in your marriage. When the frequency drops radically, it could be a sign that emotional intimacy is struggling. Do you see? Exactly. So that's the second thing. There is no legislation. The biggest matrix when it comes to sexual intimacy is the individual enjoyment of this collective experience. Both parties, are they feeling satisfied, fulfilled? Are they feeling needed, adored, loved, and found attractive? Do you understand? The degree of how you explore is also connected to the level of comfort that each person feels. If one person feels that it's too much, too quick, then you have to pace it. But there's no legislation. That's what I'm seeking to say there. The third thing that I would love to highlight is that sexual intimacy is actually attained through sexual skills. We don't talk about that enough. Sexual competence. And these competencies are acquirable. Just like you can take a certification in HR because you want to get promoted to HR director. And I'm not saying go and take a certification, or I don't know where you would take it. But I'm saying there are books to read. There are books to read. There's a sex course, and I put these things on our groups sometimes and I send it to sisters. There's a body of knowledge. And can we just say that to the men while I'm keeping a straight face at you? I think men believe that they are born to be minstrels. That is just in their destiny to do this thing and to do it well. No, sir, please. Stop associating your bedroom mastery with your ego. They're separate things. You can grow, you can get better. You know, and I'm just going to have to restrain myself because this is not our particular room. If it was a particular room, there are a few things I could be saying right now, but God is working on us all. So, you know, it's a competence. It's a toolkit. You can grow, you can get better. And of all the ways you can learn, books, courses, you know, that are scriptural. I'm not talking about obscene things, scriptural. But the greatest way you can learn is through the curriculum of your spouse. You have to ask them. You have to know what they want, and you have to share what you want. And, you know, you have to have conversations. If you don't feel embarrassed in your sexual intimacy, then you are not yet doing it the right way. Yes, the more you peel off layers in that relationship, some things you feel embarrassing, like, how did we get here? Which one is this you are saying? You should have that kind of banter. So I'm basically saying that sexual intimacy grows with sexual competence. You can get better. Yeah. You see this. You can, in total, there are more than 170 plus styles. You see, and of those 170, there are about 98 that can be done based on varying degrees of flexibility. Of the 98, there are 40 that should be tried in a lifetime. So who is clapping that kind of loud clap? So if you are young, if you're starting out, and if you don't feel sexually exposed, these are the specific things I will recommend. Both the woman and the man should read, and I can find the title, but there's this book that talks about the psychology, the physiology of a woman. Who remembers that book? I can share, there's a book like that. You ought to really understand. Even women, we don't many times, because a woman's physiology is actually medically rated as between 7 and 10 times more complex than a man's physiology. So it's worth understanding. You know, and there are many examples running through my mind that I can't share here, but it's worth understanding. So you have to take care of that, or else there will be pain, there will be friction, there will be discomfort, and if it marks a woman's mind, then the future of your relationship can be troubled because she's associating the experience with pain and discomfort, and there can be clumsiness. That's actually real too. So that's the first thing. There's that book to read. A second thing is, in the beginning, to agree to calendarize your intimacy. Because if you're new to the experience or not very exposed, you are having it infrequently. And guess what? A man is like a hot plate, you know. A woman is like the other kind of hot plate. You remember the one we had in school that had ceramic and all those wires? Whereas there's the other one, the one on the gas that instantly picks up. Exactly. So you have to know that a woman may not know that she would enjoy the experience as she goes about her everyday life. But if you calendarize it, it will happen more often, and she would enjoy it more often, and it increases the possibilities of those engagements. And then the final thing I would say, or semi-final, the semi-final would be confirm if there is vaginismus. If there is a medical condition that causes pain, it ought to be taken care of. No matter how dexterous the man is or the woman is, whoever is experiencing this discomfort, it will still be there. And then the final thing is to actually pray. We can sometimes underestimate it, but God can put his hand on that marriage and bless their intimacy in a way that is even bigger than their natural abilities.
Right.
Those would be what I would share.